So welcome everybody to the what's the name of the podcast? So I have to ask this question. Do you guys think that that Nick Chubb's career is over?
No.
I don't know the full
Even though
injury.
Vince, did you not watch the injury still?
I watched it. I just said I don't know what he tore exactly.
His leg
He
off.
tore his ACL,
Leg off his body.
ACL,
Whole damn leg.
and he dislocated his knee, and he tore the cartilage at the in the tibial plateau. That is a career-ending injury because it was a lateral impact. So the first time he hurt himself. So if your knee's like this, came this way. This time, it went this way. No, this way. His femur dislocated because his tibia and his tib fib was planted into the ground. It's a career-ending injury.
So Matt, you're saying there's no chance he comes back?
I don't want to say there's no chance because the advances in the medical field in general are just it's astounding. It's incredible the things that we can do now, but that type of injury, that's going to be hard to bounce back from. This is a more devastating knee injury than when you remember when Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and everybody was shocked. They're like, wow, he's done. This is like, wow, he's done times 100. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to bounce back from this. I just don't know how. He's a young guy. I assume family. He's going to want to be able to. He's going to want to be able to live every day. He's everyday life. He's going to want to play with his kids. He's not going to want to end up in a wheelchair like Earl Campbell. I think he's got some options to weigh here.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play with Deshaun Watson either. I don't blame him.
Now, what's the contract looking like?
Oh,
Is he secure? Does he have security if he decides that he wants to have that quality of life with his family? Also, let's explore, what's his quality of life going to be once he, stops playing football if he continues to play.
Oh man, if he continues to try and bounce back with that type of injury, you've got two routes. You have an Adrian Peterson type comeback,
MVP.
or you're done. That's it. You just fall off like Trent Richardson just fell off. Now, granted, Trent Richardson, his circumstances were a little bit different. He's running around with his eyes closed, but he just kind of it would just be a complete fall off. It's too hard to predict. Nick Chubb is such a hard worker. He's a young guy. He's very disciplined. And he has the type of character and the type of person that karma's going to give gifts. He's a good guy off the field. So it's really hard to determine what's going to happen.
Is host the white over there asleep?
I'm trying to find the contract situation.
Look like he passed out over there.
It was like someone came up to check on him, make sure he's still alive.
That was Nico. 2028. $3 million signing bonus. He's only got this year and next year. Guaranteed only $6 million these 2 years. This was his first.
As long as you're not stupid, $6 million.
Oh no, sorry. Contract note: $17.1 million guaranteed at signing. So.
Oh wow.
But this is This is the first year of like his real big jump as far as base salary goes. But obviously, with him missing time, it's not going to matter.
I mean, 17 mil. I mean, imagine what we all could do aside from Vince. Imagine what we could do with 17 mil. $17 million, man. You treat that money right. It gets you and your family a long way.
Mm-hmm. What was I gonna say?
However, if depending on what your lifestyle is, 17 million, if he has an extravagant lifestyle, that's not going to afford him much. Hopefully, he
No,
can
you,
find a
And 17
potentially.
million can last you the rest of your life.
you're absolutely right. If he's out here trying to MC Hammer, he's going to be broke next year.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I mean, if the guy has, say, a $4 or $5 million, mansion, taxes alone would absorb that in, say, 10 years. So he has to
Oh,
really, really
absolutely.
be diligent. He has to, maybe potentially turn into Tom Brady and land somewhere in the CBS booth somewhere. He can continue to make, good money and have the lifestyle that his family is probably used to at this point.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I've never been in that situation, but I think it's safe to say Nick Chubb is probably a top 3 running back. Would y'all agree?
That's fair.
If I'm Nick Chubb with that type of injury, I get into coaching. I become a running back coach, and I teach the very principles that he follows. I teach the discipline. I teach the vision. I get out of playing and I go into coaching, and I teach young guys how to do it the same way.
We got to talk about the Browns next. Is their season over?
No, Ford stepped up and he had a hell of a game.
I don't think it matters. I don't know if you can win it with Deshaun Watson.
I think you can win with Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson needs to quit trying to poke people's eyes out. He needs to quit trying to get massages in the blue tent, and he needs to quit trying to assault referees. If Deshaun Watson can go back to how he was able to carry himself as a person on the Texans, he'll be successful in the Browns.
It's an air ball though into like triple coverage.
You know what?
Yeah.
That should have been picked off.
And I don't understand, because when he played for Houston, he didn't do that kind of stuff. When he played for Houston, he was easily a top I don't say top 5, top 6, top 7 quarterback.
Well, it's because he can't get
It was
massages
good for
anymore.
Houston. He was a great quarterback for us. He had great vision. He had great discipline. He threw the ball well. He didn't force a lot of turnovers. Unfortunately, he was stuck in a position where he was running for his damn life. I kind of like CJ is running for his damn life right now because we've got a makeshift freaking neighborhood offensive line. But if Deshaun Watson can go back to being disciplined, I think the Browns are okay. Ford stepped up and showed that he can be a 3-down back. I mean, he broke off, a 76-yard run?
69.
69. And, Steelers, I know their defense isn't quite what it usually is, but, Mike Tomlin ain't no slouch. Like, you've got to give him the credit he deserves. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's proven, that steel curtain defense is a solid defense, even when they have been shown. Oh, absolutely. I think what's hurting them more is Kevin Stefanski.
The Browns? You're talking about the Browns?
Yep, I think their coaching staff is what hurts them more than Deshaun Watson does.
I don't know. Deshaun Watson with that contract hurts him a lot because he can't sign other players.
The Browns have talent around them. You've got Amari Cooper. Ford stepped up. You've got Myles Garrett. Like, Myles Garrett is the helmet-slinging bandit. Like,
Zadarius Smith.
Zadarius Smith now is on the opposite side of him. You've got a number 1 corner in Denzel Ward who sits there and does that little slide kick. Like, if he was playing Mortal Kombat, taking dudes out. Like, the Browns have talent. I think it's coming down to their coaching staff. Their coaching staff just is not good. Let's say you put Andy Reid there or you put Bill Belichick there. What happens?
You can't use it as an argument because there's not too many of those guys.
What happens?
That's what makes them great.
That's what makes them great. Harbaugh there. You put Doug Peterson there. Doug Peterson, I would argue he's not as great as he was with the Eagles, but you put a solid coaching staff there. The Browns are a playoff team. They've got talent all around.
I don't know. From what I saw last night, I just can't picture it. Not with Watson. Not that guaranteed money. I just can't see it.
No, and I don't think Watson now. I think if Watson goes back to being disciplined the way he was with Houston, yes.
I just don't see it happening.
I know you wanted to talk, Dwight. Bring up, what would you rather take? Watson with the contract he's on right now, or should they have stayed with Baker Mayfield so they could get paid far less?
I feel like I should have stayed with Baker. They gave up on Baker after he had an injury-riddled season. Honestly, they should have kept Baker.
Look what Baker's doing in Tampa.
I mean, like I said last week, I wouldn't say he played that great. It was just Mike Evans played great, but yeah.
Is it
He
Baker Mayfield
definitely,
or Baker Brady?
Just
at the
Baker
end of the day,
Mayfield.
Wait a
it's
second. Wait a
you
second.
know,
Wait a second. How many passes did Mike Evans drop back to throw to himself?
What?
What? Zero.
Mike Evans had more than
To
half
answer your
his
question,
yards
zero.
though in his only touchdown.
I actually watched I watched every throw of that game from Baker Mayfield. I thought he made good decisions.
So
I
that's
agree.
Do
my
anything bad? I'm just saying most of what he did went to Mike Evans, one guy.
And he was breaking off. He was breaking off sacks. So like I don't know. I thought he played good.
Yeah, again,
Well,
I
he
didn't say
had a little
played-
bit of a spark of that in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
with the Rams. You
Mhm.
could see it. So like he has the talent. It's just how he utilizes it.
So those dumb picks he throws like Jimmy Garoppolo almost.
I think, to Vince's question, I say Deshaun Watson with the Browns because I don't think Baker fits in with what the coaching staff wants from him. I think Baker fits better with what Todd Bowles and Tampa Bay wants to do with his play style and his talent. And it's showing. The proof is in the pudding.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You just said the coaching staff ain't very good, so I just feel like they'd be better off with Baker anyways. Not to give him the guaranteed money. They can have more talent around him. I would say right now, this is the most weapons Baker's had in his career. I know they had Odell and Jarvis Landry, but they could never stay healthy on the field together.
Oh, yeah, no. He had a lonely brother out there, Nick Chubb.
That's true. That's true.
But I think with Deshaun Watson's athleticism, I think he fits better with the coaching staff and their current organization than Baker would. And now I'm not saying Baker's not athletic by any means. I mean, obviously he's athletic. He's an elite athlete playing in the NFL. I don't think he fits what the Browns want him to do.
It's that athleticism that I would say lost the Browns the game, though. He tried to scramble, tried to make something happen, and he ended up getting strip sacked, and they went for 6 to take the lead and basically won the game off of that.
So you think Deshaun Watson was using his athleticism
Too
to
much.
a point to where it hurts them? Yeah, I agree.
Too much.
100%. He's not Cam Newton. He can't take hits like that. Deshaun Watson's 6'2". I think he's about 220. I mean, he's not a small guy, but he's not 6'5", 250 like Cam. He needs to use his legs to be able to throw the ball.
That
that's
opens up.
actually a very interesting correlation there that you bring up. When you speak of Cam Newton, how about we take a look at Sam Howell? Did the Commanders suddenly sign Cam Newton again? Did you see this guy run around on Sunday?
I did not see
I didn't
it.
see it either.
I was going to say that opens up what I said last week, and we can talk about later, like finish this conversation. But yeah, just to like point at it is last week I literally said I hate how Richardson looks to run everybody over. He doesn't go down, kind of like Cam Newton did. And what happens the week after I say that? The week after I said we've seen that happen, guys will do that, not go down, and then they get injured.
He gets cracked by Stewart Jr.
Yeah. Very next week after I say that, he gets injured.
Yeah. Cam Newton, he's just a different breed. I don't really know if we can compare him to quarterbacks nowadays. Cam Newton he's a genetic freak.
I think Richardson's the perfect comparison, honestly.
I think he's the closest comparison to Cam Newton, but I don't know. Cam Newton, there's something special about him, man. I don't know what it is, but Cam was Cam. That's Superman right there.
I was gonna say, season over or what? Just like a yes or no to everybody.
Stop getting
Season over. The season's not over. They just need to be disciplined at this point. They got a great pass rush. They've got a solid secondary with Delpit at safety. They got Denzel Ward playing corner. Like, they've got playmakers at each level of the field. They need to be disciplined, and the coaching staff needs to get it together.
I still don't think they make the playoffs, though.
I agree, and I think it comes down to coaching. I think the coaching is what's going to keep them out of the playoffs. I would say they go positive, but not a playoff run.
I was just gonna say, I think first and foremost, I just need to get guys to stop getting fined and having charges against them. But yeah,
That's one
have,
guy.
what?
Well, Miles Garrett, I guess technically got suspended a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
Miles Garrett swinging helmets at people's heads.
Okay, if someone was throwing racial slurs at me, I'd crack him with a helmet too.
Go ahead,
Then
Big.
yeah,
Season over.
you made the joke that
Oh,
when we said all of Watson's money was guaranteed, all 130 million, you said something along the lines of, "Well, they had to, so he could pay off all his charges or whatever."
I think that was
that was
Dwight
Elmo.
or Elmo.
That was Elmo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They had to do that so they can pay his fines off, so he can actually play in the league.
All right, Big. What are your thoughts? What you think?
I think that their season's not over. We all know that football is a long season. I think what we need to really consider is the division. I think of the 4 teams in that division, I think the Browns are still in a really good position, provided, although they beat them, still is a bad football team. And the Bengals seem to be imploding. The Ravens is the cream of the crop right now. And, while the Browns are looking up at the Bengals, I think that down the road, if they can stay healthy, continue to stay healthy beyond where they currently are, and if Deshaun Watson can string some wins together, they can challenge the Baltimore Ravens for that divisional title.
I don't think the
That's well
Steelers
said.
are bad. I just think their offense is really bad.
I don't think Kenny Pickett played very well at all.
He didn't.
Even though
didn't.
they were
I agree.
hyping him up in the preseason,
He didn't.
saying he was going to be a great quarterback this year. But I saw the Niners game week 1, and I was like, I don't think he's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Kenny Pickett's used to going against guys like Myles Garrett.
Probably. I mean, we went against them last year. George Pickett is it though. George Pickett's the truth. George Pickens. George Pickett. George Pickens is the truth. I don't know if you watched him.
George Pickens, he is talented. He is fast. He's big. Pause.
No, he is though.
Yeah, he's a solid young wide receiver. 100%. I agree.
The Steelers have the talent on their team to be good, but yeah, I don't know if it's their OC. Obviously, I don't know if it's Kenny Pickett. What it is, we'll find out obviously as we go throughout the year. But it's something has to change if they want to start to win some of these games.
I agree.
Did you guys want to talk about the Panthers at all? Panthers Saints.
If we do, it would probably just be focused around Bryce Young.
My biggest thing with that game was Bryce Young. I didn't think he played bad. His stats don't look great on the thing. I don't know who his OC is. Was it Josh McCown? Is that who it was?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Josh McCown is horrendous. He's really bad. He's so bad.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, that's it. He's bad. That's all I want to say.
I was just going to say, I made the joke last night to you that I think they just signed him because he's been on almost every team, so he has a little bit of every playbook of every coach.
Might be the case, man. Honestly, I want to offer Big an apology. When you said two-headed monster, Miles Sanders was killing it last night, so I want to apologize. He was killing it. He was killing it last night.
I think Bryce got thrown into a bad organization, and I think there's a lot of scrutiny, and I think there's a giant standing over Bryce with a magnifying glass, shining that sunbeam right at him. He's a young guy. He played great in college. You can only do what you can do as a quarterback. I think he got put into a bad organization.
I mean, that's what happens when you're the first overall pick. You go to the worst team, though.
Yeah, and I think to Dwight's point, I don't think Bryce's decision-making was bad. He could only do what he could do with what he had in front of him.
I honestly,
O-line worse than the Texans, but
that's because his routes. I was watching his route combinations. He had two receivers running into each other. Like I don't know what was happening that entire game. I really don't. My thing is, I don't feel like we've seen a number one pick quarterback carry a team in quite a while. It always takes a couple of years. Like it's never the first, second year where like they're carrying the team.
Yeah, because who was number one pick whenever it was Andrew Luck in the draft? Was it RG3?
It was Andrew Luck. No, Andrew Luck was the number one pick.
Was first pick.
Oh, okay. So that would have been the last time that that a number one pick quarterback was able to carry a team was Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm. The first couple of years, it seems like, yeah, because what we have Bryce, we have Kyler, but his rookie year, obviously Urban Meyer, with Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, he had Urban Meyer, but that his first year wasn't great.
No,
Justin Fields wasn't a first.
Are you saying in the first year or first couple years?
Like first couple, like first one and two. I'm just saying it's gonna take time with Bryce. We can say what we want. It's gonna take time. I think we realize that.
I mean, technically, last year was Sword's second year, right?
The last time I saw a number one overall pick was Jamarcus Russell. He carried the Raiders.
Carried a cheeseburger into his mouth, maybe. I don't know what you're talking about.
And it's crazy to look back at Jamarcus Russell now after everything we know about him. And factually speaking, you are right. He did carry the Raiders when he got drafted.
Into the ground.
No, he carried, and then he carried them right into the ground. It's like he put them all on his back.
Are we talking about the same person?
Yeah, he climbed up a mountain with them on his back and just jumped off. Like,
okay.
What the hell are you doing, man? He did. It's almost as if, let's say we took, for analogy, it's like we took Leonidas from 300, got backed up on the cliff, and then they all just jumped off. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, you know what? Fair. That's fair. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about the Panthers. The Saints are 2-0, but I don't know. It's been close both games.
Yeah, and I don't think Derek Carr is terrible, but he's not great.
We were talking about this last night. He's like Jimmy Garoppolo almost. Like they're like mid-tier quarterback.
Yeah, but he's a good for now type quarterback until the Saints can find themselves somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm the Saints organization, I give Cam Newton a call.
I was gonna say if I'm Saints, I see what Taysom Hill can do. But...
If I'm the Saints, I'm tanking for Caleb Williams.
That's not a bad point.
Speaking of
taking, the Cardinals are preferred tanking for Caleb Williams.
That's where I was going. You said Cardinals were tanking last night.
I could have swore the Giants were tanking when they went down. What was it, 20-0 to the Cardinals? I could have swore they were the ones tanking. I was like, oh, they just paid Danny Dimes, but they don't care.
But the Cardinals are like, no, we're tanking. You can have this.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing, I feel like if the Cardinals are avidly trying to get Caleb Williams, I feel like Caleb Williams goes another year in college.
he doesn't want to go there. I get you.
Yeah, I was saying, like, why would they tank to get Caleb though when they have Kyler Murray? Yes, because I expect Kyler Murray to be able to come back. I was going to say if
the next Call of Duty comes out,
Kyler Murray's at home playing Warzone.
Well, there's a couple of things. You don't have to pay Caleb Williams $50 million for the next 3 years. That's one.
No, you pay him.
I was going to say get Martin Harrison Jr. as
for 5 years.
2.0.
Well, but they have the Texans pick. They don't need to tank. That's my thing. As long as the Texans can stink it up, the Cardinals will be fine.
And I don't see the Texans stinking it up. I think, back to what I said a couple weeks ago, D'Amico Ryans, he's bringing a whole new culture to the team.
0-2 though. So so we're done with the we're done Monday Night Football entirely. You guys want to go to the Sam Howell point?
I don't know too much about Sam Howell, but let's go.
Big clearly sounded like he watched the game.
Yeah, so I think Big
I saw the
take
Hail Mary
on Sam Howell.
Did you? Go ahead, Big.
So what? Just looking at some of the game, the Broncos and the Commanders game. I thought it was very interesting to see Sam Howell running a Cam Newton, a Jalen Hurts style offense, if you will, putting the ball into the running back's belly, pulling it out uh, after reading the end or the linebacker and making a decision, just really seemed out of place. And while he may be athletic, there's nothing about that guy that screams athletic because he does certainly have size. Maybe he's a little quick or shifty. I don't know. I didn't see it. He does seem to make quick decisions, which is a very positive thing in that style of offense. I think that when you play that style of ball, you need to be prepared. And I think like a team like the Eagles really said a lot when they went out and signed Marcus Mariota to back up Jalen Hurts because they know the recklessness of that style of offense. But one thing to note, Jalen Hurts, the guy looks like a snail out there because he's looking to fall down. He's not looking to get extra yards. So Sam Howell, you're a rookie. Jalen Hurts got north of 100 million. Get down, brother, because you're going to get injured if you don't get down and protect your body. That's my take.
Well said. I like it.
You think that's Eric Bieniemy? He's the new OC, right?
He is, but this has Ron Rivera's name all over it. It has his stamp all over it. And again, it reminds me of Cam Newton in Carolina. The guy's going to be doing Superman, dives into the end zone soon.
He threw for 300 yards, 300 plus yards. Had some touchdowns. They won the game. That's the most important stat.
They did. There was a lot of blown coverages in that game.
Well, a lot of blown calls is what it sounds like.
Yeah, at the end there, after that Hail Mary from Russ, last second, I mean, it was a pretty controversial PI call that they didn't call.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but if that's how it ends, that's gotta sting. Oh, is Russ back? By the way, he played really well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's there. I wouldn't say like he's like Seahawks Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
But like the little game of it I saw, I mean, he was definitely like struggling there down by the red zone. But he's definitely, I think he's doing a little better than he was last year
with Sean Payton. Sean Payton probably helps a little bit. We haven't seen Sean Payton away from Drew Brees, so obviously we don't know what his kind of offense looks like without him.
Right.
But I feel like Russ is playing much better than what he was, and that's all the Broncos fans can ask for. At the end of the day, they paid the price for him. So as long as he can contribute to some type of thing, they're obviously probably one of the toughest divisions. But as long as he can do something, I'm sure Bronco fans will be happy at the very least.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of Russ, but the things that I hear about him is he's making increases in increments. It kind of sounds like he's coming back. So, we'll see about midway through the year what's going on with Russ.
Mm-hmm. Go Rams Niners. I don't know if you guys watched it. I know me and Elmo did for sure.
I just watched highlights.
I did not get a chance to watch the Rams and Niners. I was at the Texans game.
Right. Well, because we didn't talk about them last week, and they whooped up on the Steelers. After watching the Steelers this week, that Steelers offense is horrendous. So obviously we don't know what's going on with the Niners defense quite yet. But the Steelers defense is great. I think the Niners offense showed out last week, and then this week I feel like they played pretty good. If it wasn't for Brock Purdy missing a few passes, the score would have looked a little bit different, I think, because there was some touchdowns he missed.
Yeah, he did. But I want to point out, like, the Rams looked really good against that Niners defense.
1,000%.
Without Cooper Kupp, without Cam Akers, like, they looked really good.
And that's the thing. Should we be worried about that?
Matthew Stafford looked really solid in general.
Is that just the Rams' offense being good? Or is that the Niners' defense just not being as elite as it's been?
The Niners' defense is really elite, like, down low. Like, linebackers, D-line is super elite. Our secondary is, like, in the pass game, they're not as elite as the rest of our defense. So that's where we're kind of like our weak point. So if you can get that pass out before our D-line gets you, that's how you're going to get yards on us.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew Stafford was doing a really good job at that.
Congrats to Puka. I don't know what the exact record was, but yeah, congrats to Puka. He broke a reception record for the first 2 games of an NFL career.
Yeah.
I don't know if he continues that throughout the season, but good for him.
I may
they
have
were
the
hard
game
passing.
switch, but 10 catches one game, 13 the next.
Mm-hmm. That's great on him. Niners offense looked as good as it's going to look. Like I said, if Brock Purdy didn't miss a few throws, they would have had a few more touchdowns. I'm not worried about the Niners offense. Honestly, Brock Purdy showed me some things that he didn't show me last year, which I thought was impressive. We forget he was just a rookie last year. It's crazy to think he was just a rookie last year.
And he played, 7 games last year?
Mm-hmm, something like that.
When he started?
Right. Undefeated when he started, if I'm not mistaken.
In regular season, we're still undefeated with Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
So just see if he can keep that up.
Yeah, I guess the Niners are going to probably be back to the championship game. It wouldn't surprise me if the Rams made a divisional game with how well they played. I completely agree with you. I think the Rams, they showed us something. Even without Jalen Ramsey, some of their younger talent, I think they're ready to make a jump, which is scary because Sean McVay is a great coach, and Matthew Stafford's not a bad quarterback.
A really young roster, but there's a lot to improve on with that roster. So
Kyron Williams is a beast. He had one bad play in that game where he ended up tossing the ball in the air for a pick, but other than that, he was a monster against that Niners front seven. So do you guys see the Niners going back to the championship game? As far as people that didn't watch the thing? Like, how do you feel about the Niners?
Divisional, at least.
It's hard to say what's going to happen because they did lose a very crucial part of their organization, D'Amico Ryans.
That could be some of the reason why I think their defense might not be.
At the same time, our defense isn't really much different as in talent-wise, and I feel like anybody coming in could
even better.
Our defense isn't gonna drop that much, and we got a dude like Steve Wilkson, who is a defensive-minded coach, who I think is going to focus more on our secondary, which is our weaker part of our defense, and our front seven are going to be just as good as they were last year.
Right. I mean, with that point being said, I don't see why they're not a playoff team. I don't see why they're not an overall contender. I just see the defensive mind of D'Amico Ryans being able to conduct appropriately. I don't know too much about the gentleman that did take over.
Steve Wilkes has been in the league for a very long time. Just know that.
Again, to your point, I mean, there's not a whole lot of change to the depth chart. I don't see why.
Javon Hargrave, and we added some more on the D-line.
Lost Jimmy Ward though.
Players.
Right.
We did lose Jimmy Ward.
Right.
But Jimmy Ward was kind of like a sub player last year anyway. So at the same time, like, we didn't really lose him as much as we thought.
Right.
It was mostly to Sean Gibson and Hufanga in the backfield, and Jimmy Ward was kind of playing sub linebacker or slot corner, you know.
Okay. Well then, yeah. I mean, from what it sounds like, 49ers, they kind of go back to right where they were last year. At least. That's the thing.
They gotta make it over the hump though this year. I think they have to.
Absolutely.
There's obviously one big team stopping them from doing that. It's probably going to be the Eagles. They played on Thursday? Oh, and Dallas. I always want to say no to Dallas because every year it's their year.
The thing about Dallas is they always start off really strong. Like, Dallas always starts off winning multiple games, but once they start, like, a star player gets injured or something, that's when, like, because I feel like their depth isn't as great as they want it to be, and so they lose a star player, and I think that's when their season starts going down.
Mm.
And it's kind of like a repeat cycle every year. It almost seems like
make the playoffs, losing the playoffs. Make the playoffs, losing the playoffs. That's what you mean.
Slowly start going downhill, make the playoffs and then they lose first or second round.
Well, there's not a whole lot to be said about them absolutely dominating a terrible Jets team.
Oh,
But they come out and they kind
that Jets defense is still good.
You
can't say that.
They come out and dominate a bad Giants team.
Oh, okay.
But they come out and they're showing out against a pretty solid Jets team. I mean, you wanna discredit them at all costs because it's Dallas. But I mean, we can't take away from the fact that they played very well against a very good Jets team.
Oh no, they are. The Dallas always plays or juggernaut at the beginning of the year.
So
they always play really, really well. But I feel like it almost seems like they always fall off at the end of the year, and once they go into the playoffs. But they always start off really strong. Like they're the team to beat at the beginning of the year.
The Cowboys is the guy in the club that's going to close it down and take home the hot chick, but doesn't close the deal at the end of the night. Like, let's be honest. They're steady Eddie. Every year, it's the same thing, like Dwight said. It's our Super Bowl year. It's the year Dak gets over the hump. The truth of the matter is that the Cowboys love names. They love star players. And at the end of the day, if, star players don't always last all year long. Last year, if you look at a team like the Eagles, they lost, some quite a few players at key moments, but they were able to persevere. The Cowboys haven't shown me consistently that they can do that. They lost Dak for a period of time last year. They went 3-1. Everybody thought that I can't even remember the guy's name, that he was the next coming of Christ.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush, and he's not even on a roster this year. So I agree with Elmo. They put on a great show, but when it's time to produce and beat a team like the 49ers or the Minnesota Vikings, or the LA Chargers, they just never finish. As far as the 49ers is concerned, great team. I think they beat a bad Pittsburgh team. I'm not going to even begin to give them any hype over that. But last week was a challenge, and Brock Purdy did show us that he's making the leap. Now, can he stay healthy? Can he continue? Can the 49ers offensive line protect him against a team with a premier pass rush?
Aaron Donald? Does Aaron Donald exist?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it seemed like it didn't exist that game.
He's coming from one angle. I mean, when you have a team, the Eagles beat the 49ers because they were coming at them from multiple sides, and I think that's
and we lost
right.
all our quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I want to see the Niners versus the Cowboys or the Niners versus the Eagles. That's why I think that's why I just kind of want to sit and wait. Because I also want to see what that Niners defense does against like an elite offense. I'm not saying the Rams offense was bad at all because it was really good. Way better than I'm giving it credit for, or was going to give it credit for. But I want to see it play one of those better teams.
Yeah, I think Dallas made some good. They made some good moves in the offseason. They got Stephon Gilmore out there. He's a veteran guy. They got Brandon Cooks out there now. He's a veteran guy.
Didn't play though.
He didn't play, but having those older cats and those veteran guys on the sideline, it really brings a lot to the table.
It does. When they're on the sideline, they got older. Their roster got older. They better do something this year. Let's be honest. They got older,
right? And I don't think we hold our breath. I think we breathe through the season. We just kind of watch what Dallas has to show.
So the Niners
are.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. I'll finish at the end.
To all y'all's points, Dallas is that team that they do great in the beginning, and then they, for whatever reason, they jump off the cliff without the parachute. Right? It's like Mission Impossible. Shit, I forgot my parachute. Jumps off, and they crash and burn. Right?
Seems like it.
I think, I think looking at the depth chart that they did bring in, you want to say, what, this is going to be great. This is going to be a great team at the end of the year. but the inconsistency at the end of the year just makes it hard to.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is the Cowboys play the Niners October 8th. That's in 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks.
2 weeks.
That'll be a good matchup for both teams. We'll really get to see what these teams are about.
Yep, we'll see if they're for real or not.
Or is that it?
Any finishing notes on Niners Rams? We can go to a game that I know that Matt and Vince want to talk about. The Colts and the Texans.
Colts and the Texans.
Matt's getting ready. Hype up his quarterback.
It took the L, but Stroud did this, and this.
Yeah, pretty much. Was what? 31-10? Or 31-20?
31-20. Yeah, we were there. We were right there. Where do we start with the Texans? We're in Colts.
Start with Ant because he only played 2 quarters. How do you look in those 2 quarters? What your personal opinion?
Vince, take it away with Anthony Richardson.
You wouldn't know better than I did. I was only able to watch the highlights.
So I was at the Texans game when Anthony Richardson has the ball in his hand and he's running. It's like Lamar Jackson. Is he a quarterback or is he a running back? Anthony Richardson can run. Where the Texans started doing very well is they were making Anthony Richardson have to throw the ball and make a decisive decision. Anthony Richardson is not quite there at the NFL level yet.
Agreed.
As y'all know, Anthony Richardson ran in for 2 touchdowns. He does a good job at scanning the field, but when he's forced to throw the ball, he's not great. I do think that the seasoned players around him is what helped the Colts come to the victory. The Texans had major improvements from the week against Baltimore to now. CJ Stroud, again, another game. He threw 384 yards, not 1 pick. Now, granted, you could make the argument, he was sacked this many times, he fumbled this many times.
Garbage time.
He doesn't have he doesn't have an O-line. CJ Stroud, tall, he's 6'2", he's 215 pounds. He's not a big guy. Anthony Richardson is absolutely bigger and stronger than he is. If you have solid players like Leonard and Kwity Paye and DeForest Buckner coming down on you, it's I would imagine it's hard to hold on to that damn ball, especially when you're out there running for your life and you're trying to make a smart football play to not get hurt and go down. But CJ Stroud, no interceptions, no critical mistakes. He didn't count himself out like quarterbacks have in the past. They were down, and CJ Stroud, he buckled his helmet and he said, "You know what? It's go time." He found Nico Collins for 184 yards and a touchdown. He found Robert Woods on those routes where he needed that safety blanket. Dameon Pierce was able to draw the defense in. Tank Dell, he had opportunities at being great too. He was getting out, open along the sideline. He caught a touchdown in the back of the end zone. It's very, very small mistakes that are holding the Texans back from becoming a winning team. Overall, I'm happy with what we did against the Colts. I mean, we were dead last in every category last year. And now moving forward, we don't look terrible. I think if CJ Stroud can continue to make his decisions, he's patient in the pocket, he scans the field, he uses his legs to not try and gain yards, he runs to throw the ball. He plays like a proper. God. Holy moly! You got a raccoon out there?
Oh my god!
He's playing like an intelligent improviser, like Patrick Mahomes would. And I'm not in any I'm not comparing the two, but he improvises. He extends the play to throw the ball to make an accurate read. I'm happy with what CJ did.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I don't think Stroud made any, major. I don't think he made any major mistakes. There was a play where I would have liked him to just throw the ball away, and he did it against the Ravens too. It'd be the time where he should have just thrown the ball away, live another down, and he did try to make something happen. I could see him do something like that in a future game where he throws a pick, but he didn't get a pick. He did fumble twice. But you're saying all this stuff, and they still lost by 11. Without their starting quarterback, without their starting running back, the Colts, obviously the Texans didn't have an O-line, but the Colts still won. Gardner Minshew still threw for 174 yards. Like, are you not worried about the Texans defense at all?
I think I think Jimmy Ward comes back, Jalen Petrie comes back, we don't give up 31 points. We were banged up on defense.
What about Zach Moss though? He went beast mode for an entire drive.
Zach Moss did good. And you know what the Colts did really well? Is the Colts did really well of making sure that Will Anderson was not able to get in on the quarterback. A lot of the blocking assignments were designed to at least double team, chip, and move the play away from Will Anderson the entire game.
Yeah, I knew you were going to bring up the Texans line since I only had one starter. Honestly, I would have loved if it was Big's team that had that problem, because we hear Big say, "Oh, a line doesn't matter. A line doesn't matter." And you guys fought me in the past saying, "What's the most important position on the field is quarterback." And the fact is, you did have a line, okay, that's true, but we did have our quarterback and we did have our running back and still won. So yeah, I just would have loved if it was Big's team, but with the Eagles, that's not happening. So
Did this
a
kid
line's
just
gonna
use
dominate.
Madden? Did he just use some Madden?
Yes.
No,
try to
but
justify-
Vince, we've seen Mahomes and Joe Burrow make the Super Bowl without an O-line.
Yes. I mean, we didn't have an O-line, and C.J. Stroud came out in his second game as a pro, throw for almost 400 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Kinda had to. They couldn't run being down that much, but yeah. Yeah. Like you
I
said,
think
he had 2 rushing touchdowns. He got hurt on the second one. He did pop up like nothing happened. So I don't think it's anything that serious, but
No, he should be fine to go next game.
Yeah, he'll be okay next week. But yeah, I think the Texans tune up a little bit more. I think we get Jimmy Ward back. We get Jalen Petrie back. I think we're okay against Jacksonville.
I liked what you said about forcing Ant to pass. I think it's he looks to run in a certain amount of time, because yes, he doesn't do well when he's forced to pass because he runs, but I think that's him. Okay, his clock's going off in his head. I am out of time. I have to do something. I can't stand back you all day like Andrew Luck did his first year and get sacked the most in the NFL.
But I mean, yeah, CJ, he's able to sit back, and when that clock's going, CJ doesn't get rattled. And they were sending Kwity Paye at him. They were sending Leonard. They were sending DeForest Buckner.
Leonard didn't do anything in the past 2 games. I saw him once on the camera both times. He has not shown up either time. But yeah, Buckner did well.
I disagree with that. The entire game, they were pressing down on that line, and they were forcing CJ to be able to navigate the pocket and play as a field general type quarterback. They were forcing him to they forced him to remain disciplined. They forced him to remain focused, and they forced him to remain calm. When CJ
it wasn't Shaquille Leonard doing it.
He was a part of it. Absolutely, he was. I was at the game watching him, and CJ does not fold under pressure.
So Shaquille Leonard ended the game with just 3 tackles. That's all he got.
I'm saying that because he does not pass rush anymore. He had, I think, like about 8 sacks his rookie year, 4 the next, and 2 the next. He gets less and less pass rushes because he's so good in coverage.
He is absolutely a great coverage quarterback, but they did send him on blitzes, and they forced CJ to have to be able to move around the pocket. They forced us to take a look at his footwork. They forced us to look at his vision. They forced a lot out of a rookie quarterback. They were trying to get him to make a mistake, and he just did not do it.
Yeah, I agree. My point is just I think it was Buckner. I forget 92. He's newer, so I don't know his name yet. Buckner 92 pressured him multiple times, and then Kwity Paye
92. Grover Stewart.
I don't know who that. I don't know who that speed guy is, but
EJ.
Man, he was all over the field making plays.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I think I think we go to work, we fine tune. I think we're okay against Jacksonville. I like C.J. Stroud's odds of winning against that Jaguars defense.
Yeah. The only reason I mentioned the clock's gone off in my head is I think he does that so he doesn't force something and make a mistake, and I absolutely agree. Stroud is great at not making mistakes more often than not.
I've
I was
liked what
just
I've seen
saying, I
from
think
Stroud.
he goes, okay, I'm gonna run instead of force a pass and force a give away a turnover. Excuse me. Yeah. Again, the downside to that is, like I said, okay, you can run, but go down. I said last week he was looking to run people over instead of going down, and he's gonna wind up injured. And next week, after I say that, he gets injured.
He gets popped by a DB and he's out.
Mhm.
Hopefully he stays out. Stay out for a week. Get your head right. Get your head right. Stay out for this week. I want to see Gardner versus the Ravens defense, please.
Jonathan Taylor comes back week 4, right?
Week 4, so I don't got to worry about him. Well, that's if he decides to come back. He could still hold out technically.
He could fake another injury. That's a different.
No, he can just straight up
conversation.
hold out if he needs to. He doesn't have to fake it nothing. Pull Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I really think that Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward being out is what hurt us.
Oh,
Hurt us a lot on defense.
something we didn't talk about with the Nick Chubb injury. Actually, thinking about it, does that make the case for paying running backs better or worse?
Harder to pay him guaranteed money, I would say.
I think it makes. I think it makes other running backs in the league become apprehensive, and I think it hurts teams.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Along those words, guys like Josh Jacobs and say Jonathan Taylor. Does Jonathan Taylor not play now because of that? Does he wait to get his money?
Nick Chubb is the epitome of I take care of myself, I eat good, I exercise, I train hard, I condition, and look what happened.
And he's not even a guy that was trying to hold out. Like, he was a guy that wasn't really saying much. He was just, he took what the Browns gave him.
Absolutely. Yep. He was one of those guys that, I'm here not for the money. I'm here because I love football.
It was just an unlucky hit. He hit him directly on
That's football.
At the knee. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as bad as the injury is, I feel like that type of injury, that's kind of a hey, I told you so type moment for the case that the running backs were making for the league.
Also, people who said that Minka hit was dirty don't know football. They don't know football. I'm sorry. That was not a dirty hit.
No, I think it's one of those freak accidents. Minka, as great as he is as a zone safety, if he's trying to tackle Nick Chubb up high, he's getting Derrick Henry to right into the ground every time. Nick Chubb is strong. He's not super tall.
That's why he got it.
He's sturdy. It was one of those freak accidents.
We gotta see if Jonathan Taylor comes back, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna help their offense, I would think, right? It has to.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, that was a big thing coming in. Is Richardson would work better having Jonathan Taylor because
absolutely he would have gotten hurt. They would have ran with Jonathan Taylor instead of Richardson.
Would take focus off of Richardson for one. That's a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Running with him would free up passing and vice versa. If they were so worried about running, just pass it to Taylor. Taylor's not extremely good receiving back, but he can catch.
At the same time, I still think that the Texans would scheme up to force Richardson to throw the ball.
We'll see the second time they go against each other. We'll see it.
What I do like is even with Taylor out and Woods out, etc., a lot of people out, obviously, came out too. Michael Pittman has done much, much better. He looked more like year one Michael Pittman than last year Michael Pittman. I wanted off the team, but
I don't know. Texans were locking him up. He would get open, and then he'd run over towards Derek Stingley, and then it's like, where did he go? Did he leave the club? Did he go home?
Yeah, he didn't do great, but he did it for the team. He played a what am I trying to say? The word I'm trying to say. Week 2 he was a role player. But yeah,
Yeah.
why I mentioned he looked more like year 1 Michael Pittman over year 2 is year 2 obviously I don't have to say anything. He did super bad. Year 1 though, like I believe he had the most third down conversions of any receiver in the league. So he was a go-to guy on third down. And we kind of saw that week 1.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson was looking for him a lot.
He's like, oh, you're the same size as me. Here you go. Pretty much.
Only other thing that I would say that I think hurt the Texans again with our safeties being out, Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward, is we didn't create turnovers. I think that having those two safeties out put a lot of stress on the defense, and we weren't able to capitalize on forcing turnovers like we did against the Ravens, where Steven Nelson was able to come up with an interception. I think once those guys come back, I think we're able to tighten up a little bit more.
I don't think Texans are bad. I don't think Dwight said Cardinals have to pick as slot as they tank. I don't know their schedule, but yeah, I don't think they'll. I think they win at least 6 games.
The Texans have no reason to lose. Like, they have no reason to lose. They have to try to win these games.
But at the same time, I guess I'll just end my point on this stuff. Yeah, again, both still won without a quarterback and without a running back. They still won.
Gardner Minshew, he ain't bad. I'll tell you
The guy
that.
has more hair than he does. Sorry,
We all have more hair than Pastor Tim's. Except for big. Except for big. Except for big.
Other than big, yeah.
I don't know his beard. He's got,
yeah, that's
he's
true.
got
That's true. That's true. That's true.
I have back hair. I don't
I'm
know.
more hair than my big lip.
Talk about the Eagles then. 2-0. What'd you see, Big? Is your team? Give you the opening statement.
It's your team. You start us off.
Anything come between him.
I think that the Eagles are an interesting team. I think that they have some challenges that they're working through as far as cohesiveness is concerned. But I really do like, and I think that they have multiple ways that they can beat you, at least offensively. So I think that eventually we're going to see them start to come together and gel at some point. My biggest concern about the Philadelphia Eagles is their secondary. Those young players, I mean, they were just letting guys run open Sunday like they were playing Little League. Like, hey, I was telling a friend of mine just the other day, I said, listen, when you're coaching kids in Little League, would you rather see them cover someone and make a mistake or cover no one and still also make a mistake? There was guys literally covering nothing but the grass. They were looking like Vince, playing cover 3 and 9. It was insane. I was like, and that happened multiple times in that game. And a better quarterback, well, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, but I think that had those turnovers not happened in that game could have gotten away from the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right.
What do you see from the run game, though? Clearly, it was working. Is that more Eagles' ground game, or is that more Vikings' defense?
I think that the Vikings is they have a lot of pressure packages, and I think they want to bring a lot of pressure, particularly at quarterbacks like Hurts that is perceived to not be able to read the defense, or who is a 1-2 read kind of quarterback versus a quarterback like Joe Burrow who has the ability to read, say, the whole entire field. Is that, the Eagles can say, hey, you know what? Our quarterback is struggling. We got some challenges. We can go to the run game and we can pound the ball, down your throat. And watching Swift do that was very, very refreshing. And, he picking up right where Miles Sanders left off. He's a little bit more elusive. I think he has better vision. And the guy wasn't going down on arm tackles. So I liked it.
Oh, Swift,
I think
played well, but I think that's more offensive line than Swift. That's why I was making the statement. Though it would be ironic to have your team be the one with all the linemen out, it's not going to happen. because let's face it, they have Dickerson, they have Kelsey, they have Lane Johnson, they have your left tackle? His name?
The one there.
Before last year, you didn't know who Mailata was. Before last year, you had no idea who Sayamalu was. So these offensive linemen, you talk about them, they're good because they're well coached, they're big guys, and they're very athletic. So, right now, Cam Jernigan is our right guard. You never heard of him, but the guy is out there balling out his mind. So you can't always just say, "Oh, I don't have a good offensive line." The Eagles invest in their offensive line and their defensive line. They don't put any money in their linebackers. Who's the Eagles linebackers? I bet you don't know.
Miles Jack sitting on the couch somewhere.
Would you agree with this though? Kelsey makes all decade, and there's a good chance Lane Johnson makes all decade too.
Listen, Jason Kelsey's an undersized center. Nobody, if you ask anyone 10 years ago, would he be on the all-decade team, they would tell you no. Okay?
I'm not
Kelsey,
asking 10 years ago. I'm asking right now.
I'm telling you, the thing is that, Kelsey he's a freak of nature. He's a freak of nature. And you know what? The guys out there, you've seen clips of him running down the field in front of the running back, 40 yards downfield. A lot of linemen can't do that. So, again, that guy, just watch the documentary. I'm not going to even go into details
Exactly
about
my
it.
point, though. The Eagles' O-line so good that, Swift, he's a good running back. He played well. It makes okay running backs great. Having
No,
that kind of offensive line.
that's not true. Did you see Rashad Penny? Penny?
2 runs, if that, right?
No, he had more than 2 runs, but the dude looked like he looked like me running the ball in Madden. He just running into the back of the line. No, so he has Trent
Jalen
Richardson
Hurts running for his
vision.
life.
You got to have some type of vision. Yeah.
The Vikings were sending some crazy blitzes in the beginning of that game. They were doing it every single play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to rattle Jalen Hurts.
And that's the other reason why they actually went to the run game.
No, I think, where do we see the Eagles going? Where do they need to go for it to be a successful season for them?
Well, obviously back to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think they need to get back in the last year's form, being able to move the ball. I think this year they're struggling to move it.
Mm-hmm.
I think our D-line is going to be the hardest thing to stop of that team. They have Jordan Davis, Carter, and Donovan Sue. And that's just the D tackles.
They still have Sue?
I want to say yes.
I don't know if they do. They could. I have no idea.
Their D line is stacked.
Oh, no,
D-line is
absolutely.
stacked.
Absolutely.
Oh, they don't have Sue. They have Cox. My bad.
Their secondary is the one that is struggling now.
They still have Slay and Bradbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, but CJ brought a lot to the defense as a safety.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then linebacker coverage, obviously, their linebackers aren't as good.
But honestly,
Yeah,
screw
they
Slay.
have
That's all I gotta say.
Fletcher Cox. So they have Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Carter, and do they still have Brandon Graham?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here it is: Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat. Forgot about him. Hassan Reddick. That's 5 top tier guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they need to fix whatever slump they're going through on offense, because for whatever reason, they're not once they get out of the first quarter, their offense, it's almost like they take a nosedive right into the ground. They become sloppy. For whatever reason, their run game starts becoming predictable. Their passes are becoming predictable, and they're putting a lot of stress on the defense by keeping them out there for long play drives, forcing them to hold strong.
Well, it is a new OC. It's a new OC as well. You got to think about that.
So whatever slump they're in, and you're right, it could be the new OC. Mm-hmm. But I think overall, it kind of seems like they're in a slump right now.
Mm-hmm. But they're still 2-0. To be on a slump and still be 2-0, that's very nice.
It's promising. It's absolutely promising. They just need to kind of tie a few things up.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is, in that game specifically, Week 1, Slay played amazing. I think he was targeted 6 times, the stat said, and he only allowed 1 catch. Out of the first 4 targets in that game, all to Justin Jefferson, he allowed 3 catches already.
That's the best receiver in the
thing is-
league.
Yeah, it is. But
Jefferson's great.
Justin Jefferson he literally fumbled the bag at the 1-yard line to get a touchback. That was probably the craziest play of the game. But
Those are the mistakes Big was talking about, though. That it didn't happen.
Was it Justin Jefferson making a mistake, or was that a solid defensive play with good awareness?
I think it was Justin Jefferson.
It looked like he just lost the ball. Yeah.
I don't think that defense really had anything to do with him reaching out and losing possession.
Oh man,
at the 1-yard line, he probably considered, "Hey, I'm in already." Basically, I have 1 step.
Big as an Eagles fan. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Vince. Finish your statement first.
I was about done. I was just gonna say, "Hey, I'm at the 1-yard line. Been cooking all game. Basically, this is an easy walk-in touchdown."
Right before half.
Yeah.
Right before half. That'd have been a big touchdown. It was a big play, just not a big touchdown. No, Big. Who's the biggest worry for you as an Eagles fan? Like, what team are you most scared about? It's obviously probably the Niners and Cowboys, I would think, but who gives you more nightmares?
My immediate concern is the Washington Commanders.
Ooh.
I think they bring a lot of wild card to the table. You know, Brian Robinson is coming to his own. So, and they play solid football, and they're not they're under new ownership, and they're not the Commanders that we're used to seeing, and they're playing 4 quarters.
And we forget that they have one of the best D-lines in the league. No, I don't know if I don't know. That would have been my answer personally. I don't know. I think we gotta wait and see what's for the Commanders. We gotta wait and see.
I think Dallas is a bigger concern. I think Dallas and the 49ers. I think they bring equal concern for the Eagles. They have an immaculate pass rush out of that D line. They've got Nick Bosa. 49ers got Nick Bosa. Dallas has Micah Parsons, who's been absolutely unstoppable this season.
Mm-hmm. We haven't really seen Bosa take over a game.
You know how many times Michael Parsons has sacked Jalen Hurts? 0.
Micah Parsons is also in his second year.
They played an entire game, and they didn't block him. At the end of the game, the guy was basically having a fit because he played an entire game and did nothing and was unblocked the entire game.
That's good scheming. That's very good scheming on them to remove him from the play by not blocking him. But I still think when you've got to scheme that much for one guy, that's detrimental to an offense.
Yeah. He normally lines up on the left side of the offense, but something I'd like to see obviously is Micah Parsons against Lane Johnson. But
we'll see. They're gonna play.
No, man, the Eagles' schedule gets real bad about middle way through. Like it's a tough schedule.
So how about you go www.youtube.com and search Michael Parsons versus Lane Johnson.
just say youtube.com. You don't have to add the www.
I was just making sure you understood.
Things like you old man.
Right.
Well, Lane Johnson is absolutely amazing, but I still understand this point of wanting to see, the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Micah Parsons against Trent Williams, dude. It's bodied. That's also Trent Williams.
So since we're talking about the Cowboys, I'm just interested in knowing, can they keep that team together?
I don't think they do at the end of the year.
When you say keep them together, do you mean injury?
No, paying them and re-signing them.
Probably is the big deal.
My take here is if they don't make the Super Bowl, I think Jerry Jones is just done with Dak. I feel like he was done with them last year.
That's why they got Trey Lance.
I don't know if Trey Lance does anything next year, but I feel like this might be Dak's last year. I know they paid him all that; they're paying him money and stuff, but I think Jerry ships him out next year if they can't. Maybe it's a Kyler Murray trade if the Cardinals have the number 1 pick. Maybe they make Cardinals go Caleb and they get Kyler. Who knows?
Yeah, I think Dak is in the hot seat. I don't know how he couldn't be. His mistakes, I can't even call them mistakes because they're decisions at this point. He does the same thing over and over and over again, and they get the same result every year.
Mm.
Okay,
Like early in Dak's career, when they played against Green Bay in the playoffs, Dak had an opportunity to win, and they didn't. He screwed the pooch again, and he always finds himself trying to be bigger than what he is. Dak gives this persona that he's a selfless for the team type player, but when it comes down to these big games, he's very selfish. He tries to make that big play.
I think from my observation is that the Dallas Cowboys is one of the better teams that are really great at scheming and attacking a team's weakness. And I find that when teams adjust, there is no additional adjustment on their end to kind of compensate for that. Because I thought that even with that last year's NFC playoff game against the 49ers, there was opportunities there. They had the 49ers in their end of the field and they were driving, and they just, they couldn't do anything to kind of combat the 49ers at that point. But it seems like between the 20s, they were great. And I just think that, when it comes to Dak and his receivers, that when his first read is not there, because for some reason or another, it seems like his first read's always wide open. But when teams, attack that first read, he's not able to make up for that. Because I think that, they're so used to relying on that first read being open that he just can't come back to a second or third read unless it's the running back right there in the middle and sitting in his face.
So, do you think that lack of being able to adjust is coming from the coaching or from the players themselves?
I think a lot of it comes to coaching, because an example would be when the Eagles played the
Patriots.
Cowboys. They played the Cowboys last year, and they, CeeDee Lamb, everybody was raving about how amazing he was. I think he had an amazing game the game prior to that. And this guy comes out and he's talking about he's ready to play against Slay, and he lines up in the slot every game. All game long, he's in the slot, going against Avonte Maddox. And Maddox did a good job until he got injured. So, and then, he went off for about 100 yards after that. But I don't know that these guys are really the best at their positions when they're forced to. Justin Jefferson can play any position on the field. It doesn't matter who's covering him. The dude is going to make his bones, point blank.
Yep, I agree. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it is up to the coaching staff, because you go back to the New England game. Belichick is known for taking away and scheming against teams. The Eagles adjusted. Belichick adjusted right back. So I think maybe the Cowboys need to start looking at new coaching as well.
As I'm saying this muted, I just don't feel like Jerry Jones gets rid of his guys. You know what I mean? It's hard for him to do that.
Absolutely not.
It's hard for him to do that.
Not.
Like Jason
Jerry Jones.
Is Jerry Jones even still alive?
Yeah. About 120, I think.
Jerry Jones is that old rich dude who he's going to have it his way. And he's had dudes that are loyal to him, so he's being loyal to them, and it's biting them.
I think I've seen more Jerry Jones. Sorry. I think I've seen more Jerry Jones interviews than I've seen Mike McCarthy interviews.
I agree.
Which is, that's not how that should be. Yeah, that's not how it should be. I don't know. He held on to Jason Garrett for far too long. He's going to probably hold on to Mike McCarthy far too long. Like I said, I think this is probably Dak's last year if they don't do something. If not, Cowboy fans are going to riot. I mean, they're gonna say next year's their year, like always, but they're gonna still riot.
I agree. All right, so let's talk Aaron Rodgers. As we all know, there was a huge hype behind Aaron Rodgers coming into the Jets, Aaron Rodgers is obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback. As we all seen on YouTube, his highlights are running out, waving the flag, and that's it. He gets hurt, and he gets hurt with a season-ending injury such as an Achilles tear. But some of you may or may not know, Aaron Rodgers went through a new innovative Achilles reconstructive surgery that will bring him back for the playoffs. And with this new innovative surgery, it is apparently called a speed bridge to protect the repair of the Achilles to allow him to come back quicker.
Which is
what do we think?
Great news for him if it works. Great news for the just the NFL in general. Great news for sports. Great news for everybody. Because eventually that's going to help people with normal Achilles tears and all that. My thing with you saying that he can come back for the playoffs is I don't think they make the playoffs. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to make the playoffs first.
So you think Zach Wilson has got it to take him to the playoffs to get Aaron Rodgers back?
I think what they need to do is they need to get the ball out of his hands. They need to look for a replacement quarterback for the time being if they think they're going to have a playoff shot. But even more importantly, I'm not very well versed on this new innovative surgery for the Achilles. From my understanding, the doctor that did it, his name is Dr. Neil something ES. I don't remember his entire name.
You're good.
But but apparently Dr. Neil performed the surgery on a previous NFL player. I can't recall his name. And it proved to be successful. I am in the medical field. I am in on Achilles reconstructive surgeries, ACL. I see a lot of OR type stuff. The Achilles repair it's an intense surgery. Once you tear your Achilles, I mean your Achilles, it's a thick tendon. You got to think you're able to run, you're able to walk, you're able to jump. And you have those proper biomechanics. I don't know if there's enough behind this new surgery that's in Aaron Rodgers' best interest long term. I just don't see it.
Watch the NFL player it was performed on already be like he was out of the league 2 years after he had the surgery or something.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I just don't know if this is good for Aaron Rodgers is 39 years old. It's not like any of us, with the exception of Big, getting hurt. Sorry, old man.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you on that. I just don't know why he's in such a rush to come back to their team, not like being 8-9, not in the playoffs. I don't know.
I don't understand what he has to prove. He's already a Super Bowl champion. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's been great. He's had an amazing QBR he's been accurate as hell. I mean, it's not like he's going to catch a Brady in the next year or two. He's 39. Like, what do you have to prove at this point?
I think it's the one Super Bowl win. He's only got one of them. We can say he's a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback all time. One Super Bowl ring. He can't get it done. He can't get to the Super Bowl again. And I think the past couple of years that I've seen him in the playoffs with the Packers, he's been the reason they've lost. I've seen him have 2-minute drills where they fizzled out and couldn't do anything. I think that's what he has to prove. Why is it with the Jets? Because they decided to actually draft talent in the first round instead of backup quarterbacks, but whatever.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers gets a greater remembrance from being able to walk away from the game now, or him coming on trying to prove something more and failing miserably?
I think it's him coming back, trying to prove whatever he wants to, and then walk off on his terms.
I think he should walk off. I think he should walk off on his terms now. I think there's a lot of respect in that.
I mean, would this be on his terms? Injury, I doubt would be on his terms, but
Go ahead, Dwight.
Obviously, it doesn't add nothing to his legacy if he comes back, unless, of course, he won the Super Bowl. But I feel like if you're like, oh, dang, A-Rod came back after this crazy injury and had a decent season, that would be something to add a little bit, right?
Well, he's coming back at the end of the year. Is he going to be able to come into next year and perform the way he's supposed to?
I don't know. I wanted to see if he could perform that way this year. I wasn't 100% sold on him this year.
This isn't like a collarbone injury. You know, this is major soft tissue damage.
Mm-hmm.
Just as far as why he would want to come back, like I said, I think it's just for him, his ego. If I don't want to speak for him, but yeah, if his ego has something to prove, there's that. But the biggest thing is, yeah, just walk off on his terms. Not like no one wants to walk off having to quit because of injury. I had to quit before I even played my junior season, and I regrets the wrong word, but yeah, I hate that fact so much.
Despise it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just obviously he's been in the NFL so long. So I was just gonna say, when it's something like that, it's basically your career ends before it even gets started. I met this guy, Anthony Davis, I think is his name. He's an older guy. He was apparently drafted by the Bears the year that they won the Super Bowl. He was drafted out of Florida as a running back. He would have backed up Walter Payton, and he had an injury that ended his career before the regular season even started.
It's such a tough situation. Obviously, I wish the best for Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, whatever he decides to do, it's in his best interest. He's gonna have a career after football. Let's be honest. He has so many different ways he can go about it. He can go and host Jeopardy, try to see if they'll give him, some of that job. I'm sure he can obviously be a analyst for one of these many freaking television shows. These cable television, He's got so many different things he can do. So best of luck to him, whatever he decides to do, regardless. Okay, do you guys want to talk about one game that you're excited for this coming week? Man,
Patriots is the only one I know of off the top of my head. I was going to speak on it. I don't want to speak on the game too much. I don't think a whole lot happened, but I was just going to say, yeah, I think this past week 2, Patriots Dolphins, Bill Belichick normally does a great job at taking away your top threat, and I think we failed to do that. Waddle did whatever the crap he wanted to, basically.
Waddle's not their top threat, but I get you.
It's Hill and Waddle. That's the top threat. But
they're definitely a duo, absolutely. But if we're ranking them as far as like who's the better receiver, I think we're all taking Tyreek. And I think as far as limiting Tyreek, they did a decent job.
I was just saying,
that's the thing with a two-headed receiver. You take away Tyreek, you got Jalen Waddle, but obviously, if we're going to compare the two, obviously Tyreek is better.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said in this point of their careers, it's Tyreek. But yeah, my point was, yeah, going in, everyone knows they're going to want to throw it to Hill and Waddle. Everyone knows that. They did all right job with Hill. Waddle, like I said, did whatever the heck he wanted to.
That's that two-headed monster, though. No, but I was saying, Vince, what game are you excited for this week?
I just said that because I said Patriots this week, excuse me.
What is the Patriots game this week? Oh, okay. I was going to say, you weren't telling me. No, you just tell me the Patriots. I get you.
I want to watch that game, but at the same time, it's coming off a week where they struggled to take away their top threat, which is what Bill Belichick normally excels at. So.
But, okay. But we just said that Jalen Waddle's not their top threat.
Yes, he's pretty close. So my point was, going into the week, though, everyone knows they're going to want to look for those two. But,
my cherry
at the same time, you have the talent to cover both.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you have to take out one, and that's the best you can do.
Which is what they attempted to do, and then the other one went off. So.
Okay. Go ahead, Big.
Anyway,
Falcons and Lions.
Right now,
Lions. a very intriguing matchup. Eagles and the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Two great matchups. I think it's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot to digest with those two games there.
We get to find out if the which one of those teams is a fraud, the Lions or the Falcons.
Bijan looks good though.
Oh, fantastic! But I don't think that's surprising. That's not surprising to me, at least. I knew he was going to be a monster.
He's doing great. Yeah, I think for me, games to watch. I think Tampa and Eagles. I think there's a lot of spotlight on Baker Mayfield right now. How could there not be? He's going into a Tom Brady-led offense, and he now is playing against a great team that Tom Brady's had to play against. And the other great game, at least in my opinion, I think is, I'm sure you can guess it, Texans and Jags. Jags are now they're a solid team to contend against. CJ Stroud is now competing against Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is establishing himself as an elite quarterback. I think he makes great throws. I think he's a smart, intelligent quarterback. I think the Jaguars finally have a coaching staff that is pretty solid. And I think it is going to test the Texans organization to see if they are making those fine-tuned changes that they need to be successful moving forward.
Gotta pray that they put Stingley on Calvin Ridley faster than they put I almost said DJ Moore.
That's the thing with the Jags, though. It's not just Calvin Ridley. They have other targets.
When they played the Colts, Ridley had 8 catches in one half. Second half, they put Kenny Moore on him. He had 1 catch the second half.
Well, Stingley's going to play his side of the field. They don't move Stingley around. That's just not how the Texans operate. But I think, we went from the Ravens. The Ravens are the Ravens. They looked rough. We looked rough. But overall, the Ravens are pretty solid. We come into week 2 against the Colts. Colts are the Colts. Colts aren't great, but we made improvements. Now we're moving into week 3 against a team that's, a division leader. Like, okay, this is going to be a make it or break it. I think it's going to be a make it or break it type game for us. Are we going to continue on? And are we going to show more than we did the last 2 weeks or not? So I think there's a lot of pressure on Houston right now with this week 3 game.
So my game, they're not games to watch because I don't necessarily know if they're going to be good. But the games that I'm definitely keeping my eye on is going to be the Chargers and Vikings. Both teams are 0-2. I don't think any of us expect. I think we expect them to make the playoffs, right? You hear Vikings, You think Chargers, you think they're probably going to make the playoffs. Well, they're both stinking it up right now, 0-2. They're playing each other. It's either going to be a sloppy football game where both teams are showing us that they're not good right now, or one of those teams is going to show that they're a little bit better than their record shows. And so that's what I'm kind of excited to see. And then
go
ahead. You're good.
A couple stats I want to point out for the Chargers. They put up 58 points, no turnovers. They are 0-2.
Past 2 games, yeah.
No turnovers.
I don't know if it's a defensive thing for them or what, but they gotta figure something out. They paid Justin Herbert all that money. It's not like he's playing bad at all. That's not the case. Obviously, Austin Eckler is injured. Yeah, different OC. Kellen Moore. Big knows a lot about Kellen Moore. So I don't know.
That could be it. That could be it. Austin Eckler being hurt because he was a big part of their offense.
I think he comes back this week though, which should help.
We will find out.
And then the Rams and the Bengals. I need to see what's up with the Bengals. I truly do. I feel like the second half of that Ravens game they played much better. They look like an actual decent team instead of 200 and however much money Joe Burrow got put in the trash. Whatever.
$75 million.
The Rams showed me that they're a team going this way, and the Bengals right now are like doing waves on the lower part. It's a Monday Night Football game, doubleheader Monday night. I want to see the Bengals do something against a Rams team that I think has played pretty good. That's all I want to see.
All right. And Elmo, to close it out, what you got for us?
I mean, I'm just going to watch the 49ers beat up on the Giants.
Oh!
What a guess.
Do you guys want to do a game?
That'd be pretty pleasing to watch.
Do you guys want to do a game pick for that one? Who do you guys pick for that one, huh?
Yeah, I wonder.
I think it's gonna be close, but 49ers 40-0.
There you go. Who put the Giants on all these primetime games? That's what I want to know.
Daniel Jones did it.
Probably. Yeah, I got way too many. Well, I think that's everything. I don't think we missed anything
I was
big.
just gonna say probably the best game this week was that we didn't talk about it, but Seattle versus Rams. It went into overtime.
Seattle and Rams.
Seattle and the Rams?
I said Rams.
Seattle and the Lions.
Yeah, Seattle Lions. I said Rams. I apologize. Yeah, that went into overtime, and for being honest, the last play when Lockett had the touchdown, Aiden Hutchinson, the offensive lineman, hooked his entire arm around his throat. That's a holding call if I've ever seen one, but it was a good game. Not so much defensively, but
Sounds like that's all we have for tonight, y'all. Please, we hope that you enjoyed your time with us. We'll be back again next time. Please smash the like button. Dwight, cue the music.